The billionaire's laughter echoed across the luxurious restaurant as he stared at the frail young man sitting on the floor by the glass door. Rain poured outside, and the man's trembling hands clutched an empty bowl. "Give me your leftovers," the young man said softly, eyes fixed on the plate half filled with untouched food. The billionaire, Daniel Cross, one of the richest men in the city, smirked and leaned back in his chair. "You'll get them," he said mockingly, "if you teach me to walk again." The young man blinked in confusion. "But, you can walk." Daniel gave a hollow laugh. "No. I can only move. I stopped walking a long time ago." 2 months later, when the same young man walked into Daniel's office, wearing a clean suit and carrying something that would change his life forever, no one could have imagined what would follow next. Daniel Cross was the kind of man newspapers loved to talk about. Billionaire. Investor. Charmer. Every headline painted him as a genius, a man who had it all. But behind that perfection lay an emptiness that money couldn't fill. He had fame, luxury, and power, but no purpose. His family barely spoke to him, his fiancée left him for his best friend, and despite having thousands of employees, he'd never once been thanked with genuine warmth. That night, as he sat alone in his favorite restaurant, he watched the rain fall hard against the windows. That's when he saw him, a young man, drenched, barefoot, trembling from cold. His clothes were torn, and his eyes, though weak, carried a spark of something Daniel couldn't quite name. "Sir," the young man whispered, his voice hoarse from hunger, "can I please have your leftovers? I haven't eaten in 2 days." Daniel, irritated by being disturbed, smirked and leaned forward. "My leftovers." He tilted his head. "What will you give me in return?" The boy blinked, unsure if it was a joke. "Sir, I can't offer you anything. But I can promise, if you give me your leftovers, I'll teach you something worth far more." Daniel chuckled coldly. "You'll teach me something? You, who can't even afford a meal." "Yes," the young man said calmly. "I'll teach you to walk again." Daniel's laughter filled the entire restaurant. Even the waiters stopped to stare. "You think I forgot how to walk?" The boy only looked at him and said quietly, "You walk fast, but you don't go anywhere." "That's not walking, sir, that's running from something." For a second, Daniel froze. Something about those words hit deep. Still, pride wouldn't let him show it. He pushed his half-eaten meal toward the boy. "Fine. Eat. And tell me how you plan to make me walk again." The young man smiled faintly and ate with tears in his eyes. "Come find me when you're ready," he said softly. "My name is Leo." Daniel brushed it off and went home that night, but couldn't sleep. For the first time in years, someone had spoken to him, not like a billionaire, but like a man who'd lost himself. Days passed, but those words haunted him. "You walk fast, but you don't go anywhere." 2 weeks later, Daniel's empire began to crumble. His company faced a sudden scandal, his investors pulled out, and his reputation fell like glass shattering. He remembered Leo's eyes, calm, knowing, unshaken. Desperate and exhausted, Daniel drove through the rain again and found himself in the same street corner where Leo had begged that night. But this time, Leo wasn't begging. He was helping a group of homeless people, organizing food drives and teaching basic computer skills in a small, worn-down shelter. Daniel stepped out of his car and called out, "You." Leo turned and smiled gently. "Looks like you're ready to walk now." Daniel spent the next few weeks volunteering at Leo's shelter, at first out of guilt, but soon, something within him began to change. He saw people who had nothing, yet smiled more than anyone in his circle of billionaires. He served food, cleaned tables, and listened to stories of people who'd lost everything, but still had faith. Leo watched quietly as Daniel struggled at first, refusing help, unable to connect. But slowly, Daniel started asking questions, helping others genuinely, and even laughing, a real laugh, not one from sarcasm or pride. One night, after serving food, Daniel asked, "Leo, how did you end up here? You're too smart to be living like this." Leo smiled sadly. "I was once a CEO too. A startup founder. I lost everything after my partner betrayed me. I spent months hating myself. But one night, a stranger gave me his leftovers and said, 'It's not the food you need, it's hope.' That man taught me to walk again. Now I do the same." Daniel looked away, his throat tight. So now you help people walk again? Leo nodded. Yes. Because walking isn't about steps, Daniel. It's about direction. Those words became Daniel's turning point. With Leo's guidance, Daniel started a new company, one focused not on profit, but on social impact. He invested in shelters, education programs, and rehabilitation centers. Within months, his name returned to the headlines, not as a billionaire tycoon, but as a billionaire humanitarian. Then, one night, Leo collapsed. His long struggle with illness caught up to him. Daniel rushed to the hospital, holding his hand as doctors tried to save him. Leo smiled weakly. I told you I'd teach you to walk again. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. You did, Leo, you did. Leo whispered his last words, then promise me one thing, never stop walking toward others. 2 months later, Daniel inaugurated a massive center for the homeless, the Leo Foundation for Hope. Thousands attended, but Daniel's eyes searched only for one seat, the one left empty for Leo. As he stepped on stage, he said, once, a man asked for my leftovers. I gave them with mockery. But he gave me something priceless in return, a way back to my humanity. The audience rose to their feet. Daniel looked up and whispered, I'm walking again, Leo. Alexander was discharged the next morning with strict orders to rest. But rest was a luxury he could no longer afford, emotionally or financially. When he returned to his mansion, he found Maria waiting at the door. I know you don't have staff anymore, she said softly. So I came to help. He stared at her in confusion. You should go home, he said. I'm not your employer anymore. Maria stepped closer. You were never just an employer, sir. You were a human being who forgot he was one. Her words pierced through him. For days, she helped him survive. She cooked for him when he couldn't eat. She cleaned the house even though she wasn't paid. She made sure he took his medication. She encouraged him to walk outside. She listened, truly listened, when he cried. Alexander had never cried in front of anyone before. But Maria didn't judge him. She didn't pity him. She simply stayed. Gradually, Alexander's mind began to clear. And for the first time, he asked about her life. He learned Maria was a widow. She had once owned a small bakery that closed after her husband died. She cleaned houses to support her daughter, who was studying nursing. She worked long hours, never complained, never asked for help. He realized she wasn't weak. She was stronger than anyone he had ever known. One evening, as they shared a simple dinner of rice and soup, Maria told him something that planted the seed of change inside him. You didn't lose everything, sir, she said. You just lost what kept you blind. Blind to what? He asked. To people. To kindness. To second chances. Alexander sat quietly, absorbing every word. That night, he made a decision. He wasn't going to rebuild his wealth. He was going to rebuild himself. With Maria's help, he sold luxury items he didn't need, repaid debts he had ignored, apologized to old colleagues, and slowly regained stability. But the biggest transformation happened inside him. He became more respectful. More grateful. More aware of the world around him. And then one morning, he asked Maria a question that made her choke up. Maria, will you help me build something new? New, what? She asked. A foundation, he said. For people like me when I was broken. And for people like you, who give more than the world sees. Maria covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. Together, they used the last of his remaining funds to start a small organization aimed at helping single mothers, widows, immigrants, low-income workers, people drowning in debt, people who had lost hope, people who just needed one person to believe in them. Maria became the director. Alexander became the mentor, the fundraiser, and the men who finally understood purpose. Their program grew. People healed. Families survived. Lives changed. 1 year after losing everything, Alexander stood on a stage at the foundation's opening ceremony with Maria beside him. He delivered a speech that silenced the entire room. I once had money, but no soul. Now I have less money, but a life worth living. And And I owe it to the woman who reminded me that even the coldest heart can warm again. He turned to Maria and whispered so only she could hear. You saved my life in seconds, and gave it meaning forever. She smiled. No, sir, she said softly. You saved your own life. I just showed you where to start.